From the Centre on Global Energy Policy at Columbia University, Antoine Halff joins me now. Antoine, you were in that panel there looking at stocks. How critical have stocks got around the world right now?
Very critical because they're so big. You know, there's been a huge build-up of inventories coinciding with a big drop in prices. And that's raising eyebrows. It's challenging us to understand what's going on, where price might go, depending on where the stocks are headed, and what it really means. And one of the points I tried to address, and the session tried to address, is the idea that this is not just about inventory levels, but also about the changes in the way inventories function in the energy system.
And again, what have those changes actually brought about? I mean, have they changed strategy, or are people just scratching their heads wondering how they can manage those changes?
Well, I think one of the key messages which I try to get across and which to me is particularly interesting, the idea that stocks might be the swing supplier. You know, there's been a lot of discussion about the fact that OPEC had relinquished the role of swing supplier and abandoned it to shale oil. But in fact, in our discussions this morning, we also addressed the fact that shale oil might not be able to come back very quickly in the event of a run-up in prices and a shortfall in supply. And in that case, it would really be stocks that would be the stock supplier, the swing supplier that would really fill the gap in the market.
Fascinating, and that's something that I really haven't heard too much discussed about. But in the event that stocks are the swing suppliers, does that mean then that there might be a possibility that the countries begin to dip into, in particularly strategic stocks? I mean, can they do that, or would you support something like that if it was needed?
Well, strategic stocks really are there to, in the event of a disruption, a large-scale, unexpected disruption in supply, and that's a very useful function which has played a very important role in calming the market, in offsetting the impact of disruptive events. So I don't think anybody would want to draw on those strategic stocks as part of a routine effort to meet demand under normal market circumstances. You want to keep them for the future, for the rainy days.
But again, now we have a lot of supply in the stocks, great capacity there. Not a whole lot of capacity for the countries, for the producing countries, but the market is still oversupplied. So, is this the first time we've seen a situation whereby we have oversupply, huge capacity on the stocks? And again, how is the market handling and dealing that?
Well, undoubtedly, this is a new era in the market. This is a new time, new source of supply. Shale oil is unlike any other kind of supply. New risks in producer countries around the world, in the economy. So in many, many ways, this is an unprecedented market. Sure, there are aspects that we recognize. There are cyclical components to this downturn, but there's also something very unique. And we try to address how unique this was in many ways in these last couple of days, looking at supply, looking at demand, looking at the way stocks function in the market.
And do you find that when you look back at the outlooks, the IEA outlook, the OPEC outlook, and indeed all the outlooks that the industry is also producing, is that helpful when you're looking now from an academic purpose and looking at the energy research? Is that helpful to you in terms of being able to help and advise other people in the industry as well?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, everybody looks at the outlooks. Everybody looks at the IEA work, at the OPEC work and the reports. And it was very, this meeting we've had is just one in a series of several meetings over the years. And each year, I think we've made progress in making the reports not more alike between the organizations, but more comparable in understanding the differences, in harmonizing definitions and framework of reference, for time series and geographic definitions and so on. So this has been extremely helpful. Now, in our discussions, I think we try to go beyond that and identify what remain to be understood, the areas that were not covered by the reports, the gaps we have in our data knowledge, all these things, and what it all means. But certainly the reports are a fundamental building block upon which most analysis is based. And this discussion we have between OPEC and the IEA, with IEF, and industry members, prominent experts, is really very helpful in trying to sort out these issues.
So do you think the industry has had a bit of a wake-up call? I mean, perhaps they were getting a bit complacent. Do you think they've really, now they have to move at a quicker speed to make sure that they can manage this well?
I think each company is challenged to revisit its business model, to reinvent itself, to come up with a strategy to deal with this situation today.
And the role of the International Energy Forum, over the years, you've been a regular here and it's always been great to see you. But do you feel that the role here has strengthened over the years in terms of where the International Energy Forum sits at the moment?
I think it plays an important part in framing the issues and in providing a forum where people who don't always meet can actually get together and discuss issues in a very professional and dispassionate way.